And welcome to this tutorial from Xenotrust, where we are going to build this simple to-do app. Okay, so let me just show you what it does. So we can actually add a list of items we want to do. So basically you can just add some tasks and they will be added to your list of tasks to do. But then when you have completed the task, you can come here and just click on this check icon and they will be marked as completed. So let me just do that for a few. Okay, so after that you can actually delete some of the tasks that you've completed. So if I click on this delete or this trash icon, you see that there is a notification you are about to delete this list item, and if I click OK, it gets deleted. So let me just delete some of the items. Okay, so we do this using vanilla JavaScript. Okay, there is no framework, simply just plain old JavaScript, and that's what we're going to build in this tutorial. Okay, all right, so let's get to our code editor. So basically on our code editor, basically we just have a normal index.html file that is open on our browser. It's a blank file here, and we have font awesome. So this is actually the font awesome link. So let me just add a comment and say font awesome. Okay, and we linked our style.css here. All right, so let's start building this project. Okay, all right, so the first thing I will do is I'll write the markup for the project. Okay, so that's what I'll do now. So first I'm going to create a section with a class of to-do section, and within it I'm going to create a div with a class of container, and basically I'm just going to create another div with a class of add items. Okay, and this is where I will then create my form tag that is going to have, okay, so let me just create the form tag first, and within the form opening tag I'm going to create an onSubmit attribute, and I'm going to set it to return false. Okay, so basically what that does is when I click on the submit button, it prevents the form from reloading. Okay, so that's basically what that does. All right, next I'm going to create an input, and this input is going to have, so it's going to be a type of text, and the placeholder, I'm going to add a placeholder, and this placeholder is just going to be add an item, and dot dot dot, and I'll save. Okay, so that's what we have here. And next I'm going to create a button, and this button is simply going to say add. Okay, and I'll save. Okay, and this is what we have here. All right, next let's create an unordered list outside of the form. So I'm going to go outside of the div holding the form, and I'm just going to create an unordered list that is going to have a class of to-do list. And I'm just going to add an h2 tag that is going to say lists of tasks to do. Okay, and I'll save. Okay, so that's what we have. And next let's just add a horizontal row to just separate the content below, and basically we are just going to create a list item, although we're not going to use the list item, but then let's just have it first so that we can design, you know, the page. So I'll just create a list item that is going to have a class of complete, let's add a paragraph, and it's going to say completed, and then let's add a button, and in that button we are going to add a font awesome icon. Okay, so basically let me just grab the font awesome icon link so I don't have to type it out. So I'll just come here, and this is the font awesome icon link we're going to use. So this is the first one. Let me save so we can see. So this is the check button, and I'm going to just duplicate this line, and the next one is the trash. I think it's trash hyphen alt, and then I'll save. Okay, so I think that's it for our HTML. So what we're going to do next is we're going to write some CSS to style this up and make it look nice. So what I'm going to do is I would come to my CSS file. So let's go to our CSS file and open it up, and let's begin to add some styles. So let's do some reset first, and we'll set the margin to 0, and we'll set the box sizing to border box. Let's get the HTML and set the font size to 10 pixels. Let's set the font family, and I'm just going to just do something simple. So let's just do Arial, Helvetica, and sans serif. So we're not really using any Google fonts or anything like that. It's just a simple let's do body, and let's just do a background color of #EEE. Now let's get the to-do section class. For that, we're going to just give it a width of 100%, and let's just do padding. We'll do 0 on the top and bottom, and 3 rem on the left and right. Then let's get the container class. So we'll say dot container, and for that let's just do a max width. So max width, and let's just say 60 rem. Okay, so that's like 600 pixels. Let's do a margin of 5 rem on the top, so that's 5 rem, and auto. Okay, so that should center it nicely. Okay, so that's what we have here. All right, let's target the add item class. So let me just make sure we are targeting the right thing. So that's the add item. Where are you? So this is the add item class we're targeting right now. So I'll go to my styles.css, and I'll just say .add item. Let's give it a background color of #892 CDC. And let's save. Okay, so this is the background color here. Okay, so let's do padding of 5 rem on the top and bottom, and 0 on the left and right. Let's do margin of 2 rem and auto. Let's do a border of 1px solid and transparent, and then let's do a border radius. Let's just do 5 pixels, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so we have this curved effect on the sides here. Now let's get the form class, the form element rather. So I'll say dot add hyphen item, and then I'll say form, and then let's just set the display right to flex. Let's set the justify content to center, and let's make sure that the width is 100%. Let's save that. Okay, so this is what we have here. Let's then get the input. So I'll just copy this. So I'll just copy this, come here, paste it in, and then I'll then add inputs. So for this, we're going to give it a padding of 1 rem on the top and bottom, and 1.5 on the left and right. Let's give it a font size of 1.8 rem. Let's give it a color of hash EEE. Okay, so that's what we have. Let's do a width of 75% and save. So the form is bigger now. Let's do a border and set it to none. Let's do border bottom and set it to 1px solid, and let's give it this RGBA, and we'll say 255 comma 255 255 comma, then we'll say 0.7, so we don't want it to be very bright. Okay, let's do outline, and let's set it to none. Let's do background color, and let's set it to transparent. Okay, all right, so we are seeing the style taking. Let's do some margin, but just on the right, and let's set it to 5 pixels or 0.5 rem. Okay, now we're going to add some styles to affect the color of the placeholder, and the way we do that is by saying 2 colons and placeholder, and let's just give it a color of same as this one. So I'll just copy this, and I'll come here and say color, and I'll paste that in and save. Okay, so we have this color displayed here. All right, so we're almost done. Let's just come here and see dot add item, form, and button. Then let's do a width. So that should be width of 10%. Okay, so the button is bigger there. Let's do a font size of 1.6 rem, and let's do a border of 1px solid and transparent. Let's do a border radius too of same as 5px. Let's do a background color of so I'll say hash EA 2C 62. Okay, and let's save. Of course, we're going to make the color kind of white, so I'll just go with hash EEE. That's what we've been using so far. let's do a cursor and set it to pointer. Then let's make sure that the outline is set to none, and I think we can save. So I think we're good on that front, except for the border radius. So this should not be border, this should be border hyphen radius, and save. Okay, so I think we're good on this end. So let's then target the unordered list. So the first thing we'll do is we'll just say unordered list, and we'll target the h2 tag within it, and basically we'll just set the list style. No, sorry, we'll set the font size first. So font size to 2rem, and we're going to set the color to this one. So let me do that again and set it to that. Okay, then let's set some margin on the bottom. I'm just going to say 1rem and save. Okay, so now let's target the unordered list and the list items inside of it. The unordered list first. Let's do list style. On a second thought, the unordered list should actually be up top because it comes first in the order. So I'll just do OL first, and I'll set the list style to none. Take away the numbering because I'm going to have a customized number, and I'll set what is known as the counter reset, and I'm just going to give it a value of counter. Okay, and save. Okay, then I can then come here and do unordered list and then the list items. And here I'm just going to start by setting the font size to 1.6rem, and I'll set the margin to, so let's just do 0.5rem on the top and bottom, and then 0 on the left and right. Let's make sure we give it a background color of hash CCC. Okay, let me save and see what we, so that's what we have there. Let's add a border radius, and of course I'm going to just do 0.5rem. Let's do a padding, and it's going to be 1rem, 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 and 4rem. Okay, let's save. Then let's do a display and set it to flex. Okay, so that's what we have there. Let's do an align items and set it to center. Now we'll then have to set what is known as the counter increment. So that's for this counter we set here, right? This counter reset we set here, we got to set the counter increment here. So I'll say counter hyphen increment, and I'll just specify what I want to increment, and that's the counter we set up top. Then let's set the position to relative, and I'm going to need to set the overflow to hidden. Okay, and let's just save. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to target the OL and the L item, and I'm going to set the nth child, right? And I'm just going to say all of the odd nth children. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the background color for the nth children, and I'm going to just set it to this, so hash 321 F28, so that's F28. Okay, and I will set the color to, so let me just go up top and grab the color, this one, and I'm just going to paste that in here, but this time I'm going to change the opacity to 0.9 because I want it to be kind of white. Okay, so that's what we have here. So let me continue and let me get I'm going to create a pseudo element here. So I'll say OL and LI, and the pseudo element is going to be the before element, and I'm just going to set the content to counter, so that's the counter we set up top. Let's set the position to absolute. From the left we want it to be 0, and from the top I also want it to be 0, and then I'm going to give it a width of 3.5 rem. So let me save. Okay, so you see here that the counter is now displaying here, but we're still going to have to style it to position it properly. Okay, so we're going to give it a height, right, of 100% of the container. So that's 100%, and that doesn't really change anything, but when we give it a background color you would see the difference. So we're going to give it a background color of this guy and save, and as you can see we have this orange kind of color here, and then you see that the border radius actually affects here. That's because of the overflow set to hidden we put here. So if I comment out this overflow here and save, you see that it becomes very sharp at the edges. Okay, so let me uncomment out that and save, and as you can see the curve has taken effect. Okay, so let's go ahead and set the display to flex, to center the content, and I'm just going to say justify content, and I'll set it to center. Okay, one more thing, we're going to set the align items to center and save. Okay, so that's why we have this one displayed directly in the center. Okay, so let's just give it a color. So I don't think I've given it a color, but I'll just come down here and specify the color I actually want. So I'll just say #ccc and I'll save. Okay, so that's fine. All right, so what we will do next is we're going to target the paragraph tag within this OL list. So I'll just say OL and LI, and I'll target the paragraph tag, and I'm just going to say I want the content to be, so I'll just add this and say completed. Now the reason why I'm putting this completed here is because in the end I'm going to comment out all of this content here. All right, so that the TODO app is going to generate them dynamically with JavaScript. Okay, so I'm going to comment out all of this when I'm done. Okay, so I'm going to set the content to completed, and let's add some margin on the left. We're just going to do 2 rem. Let's add some padding, and I'm going to do 2 pixels for the padding. So because it's really small, I can use pixels. We're going to give it a color of white, so that's #FFF, and we're going to set the border radius of 0.5 rem. Then we're going to set the background color to this very same color. So I'll save, and as you can see we have this completed text displayed here. Okay, so let's come and let's do some styling on the buttons. So I'll come here and I would say OL, LI and button, and basically what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to get the font size, and I'll do 1.6 rem, and of course I will make sure that there is no outline on the button. So outline is going to be set to none, Let's do some border, also setting it to none. Let's do a background color, so let me save that. Okay, so this is the button we are styling. This font awesome icons that are placed inside of buttons. Okay, so um let's do a background color rather, and set it to transparent. Okay, so we have the buttons here, but they are looking dark. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a color of so I'm going to say hash, and I'm going to use that color. Okay, let's do cursor and set it to pointer. Let's do position and set it to absolute, and from the right let's just do 1 rem and save. Okay, so the buttons are placed here. Okay, so what we are going to do, and it's looking like they are placed one on top of the other, but don't worry, that's not a problem. We're going to fix that. So what we're going to do is we're going to target the first child of the button. So I'm just going to come here and say OL and LI, and then I'm going to say button. But remember, we want to target the first child, so I'll just say first child. Okay, and I'm just going to do margin, and on the right I'll set 1.5 rem, and I'll do some padding, same on the right, and I'll set 1.5 rem also. I'll set the color to green, so it's going to be hash 1e. Okay, A and 735. All right, so that's the color I want, and then I'll save. Okay, all right, so I think we're done with the CSS for the TODO app. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the HTML, and we're going to add the JavaScript directly under the HTML. So we're going to create a script tag here. So let me just give some space. I just felt that I can actually put the script inside the HTML. I'm not writing too many JavaScript. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have some comments. So I'm going to comment the JavaScript so that it's easy for you to follow. So the first thing I'll do is I'm going to create some variables. Okay, so let's do const, and the first variable is going to be input, and I'm going to set it to document dot query selector, and actually just updated my Visual Studio Code, so I'm getting all of these you know suggestions when I type, and I don't want to go and look for the settings to turn that off now, so bear with me please. So I'm going to target the input element first, and then I'm just going to do another query selector. So maybe I'll just duplicate this, and this time I would create a const for the button. So I'll just say btn, and this one is going to be button. Okay, so basically I've targeted the input and the button. So what I'll do next is I'm going to add an event listener. So let me just add a comment, and to the button. Okay, so I'll just say btn dot add event listener. Wow, I'm definitely not enjoying this update on my Visual Studio Code. So add event listener. Okay, and I'm just going to add a click event. So maybe I should try and turn this off first. Okay, so I'll add a click event, and I'm going to create a function below, and that function is going to be add list item. Okay, all right, so let me save this, and I'm going to come here and I'm going to create the function that is named add list item. So I'll just say add a comment and say create function for adding the to-do list. Okay, so I'll just scroll down a bit and I would say function, and the name of the function, remember, is add list item. Okay, so let's add our parentheses and let's open up the function. All right, so what we're going to do first is we are going to do a variable. So I'll say const, and the name of this one is going to be to-do list, and it's going to be equal to documents dot query selector, and we're just going to open and get the to-do list. So I'll say dot to-do hyphen list. Let's close this here, and I'll add another comment here to help me track what I'm doing. So I'm going to say create a new list item. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do, and basically let's add some variables too. So let's do const, and we'll say new list item, so that's new li, and let's set it to document dot create element. And basically what we want to create is an li tag. So let's close that. I want everything to be on one line, so I'm going to have to expand this just a little. Okay, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create more elements. So I'll just duplicate this 1 2 3 times, and this time I'm going to set this to complete, and I'm going to create a p tag here, and I'm going to set this one to check button, so that's check btn, and I'm going to come here, and basically I'll be creating a button here, and for this one I'm going to set it to delete button, and here I'm going to be also creating a button. So basically what I just did here is that first I created a list item, so this whole list item here, and then for the const complete I created a paragraph, which is this paragraph here that will hold the text of completed, and then I created a check button, which is the first button, and then the delete button, which is the second font awesome button that will help us delete our list item, okay, our to-do list item. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add icons now to the buttons. So let me just add a comment here, and I'll just say add icons to the button. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is for the check button, so I'll get the check button class. So I'll say check and btn. Okay, so I'll say dot inner html, and I'm going to set it equal to, so let me do this and close it up. So basically I'll just go up on my text here, and I'll copy this html element, and then I'll paste it here. Okay, so that's the first one, and maybe what I'll do, oh, I did not copy the closing tag, so let me just close it up here, and that should be I. Okay, So something is wrong here with the way I wrote this. Okay, so I need to escape the backslashes, the what's it called? I need to escape these guys here, these double quotes. So I'm just going to do a backslash, and I'm going to do a backslash. Okay, so that's why we had that line there. So basically we just created the icon within the check button, and I'm just going to duplicate this one more time, and instead of check button here, I'm going to create for the delete button, so del btn, and then I'm going to change this to trash, and I think there's hyphen alt. Okay, and I'll save that. So we've successfully been able to create that icon there. So what we will do last is we're going to get the complete tag here. So I would say complete, and I'll just set the text content, and I'm going to set it to equals to, and then I'll then say completed. Okay, so that's the completed text that we see here. We're setting it with JavaScript, and then let's close that. Okay, so now let me add a comment for the next step in our file. So this step, I'm going to say okay. So this seems like a very long comment, and that's because I consider myself like I'm teaching. Okay, so I'm just trying to help you know what I'm doing. So first I'm going to check that the input field, right, the input field here is not empty. Okay, and if the input field has some content, I'm going to create a new list item with the content of the input field. So that's basically what I just wrote here. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm just going to add an if statement, and this if statement is going to check that the input, okay, right, the value of the input, so input.value is not equals to, so let me say, so not equal to, and I'll just add an empty string. Okay, and then within this if else statement here, I'll set what I want to do. So the first thing I'll do is I'll say new li dot text content, and I'll set it to be equals to input dot value. So that should be input, that's a typo, and then I'll close this, and then I'll say input dot value, and I'll set it to be equals to an empty string. So basically what I've just done is that I say that the new li, that's the new list items we're generating, should get the content from this input.value, and that when we hit the enter button, the input.value should become empty. So that's what we just set here. All right, so we're going to then append child, or we're going to append the new list items to our todo class. So what I'll do is I'll then say todo, right, list dot append child, and I'm going to say I want to append the new list item, and then I'll close this. So I'm just going to duplicate this twice and change the content, and then I would do new li. So let me just do, and I'm going to append the check button, so I'll say check and btn. So for this one, it's also going to be new li, and I'm going to append the delete button here. Okay. All right, so I'm sure you understand what I just did here. So first off, I created the new li item, and I appended the value of the input, and then here I deleted the value of the input, because when you create a new list, you want this to be empty. And then for our to-do list, I appended for our unordered list, rather, I appended the new li item, and then within that new li item, I appended the check button and the delete button. Okay, so that's basically what I did here. Okay, so let's continue. So it's an if else statement, so I should probably do else. Let me just come to a new line, or no, so let me just do else, and then I'm going to just alert something. So I'll just alert and say something like please enter some text. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that at that, and I think I can close this here. Okay, all right, so in the next aspect of the project, we are going to mark the list items as completed. So let me save. So I think we can even test this now. So let me just say hello, and let me click on add list item. So you can see that we are able to create a list item here. Let me do another one. So I'll say world, and if I hit enter, we should be able to create this new list item. So what we are going to do first is we are going to write the code to set it such that when we click on this green tick icon here, it will say that the item has been completed, and when we click on the delete button, it will delete that item. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so as usual, I'm going to add a comment, and I'll say mark list item as completed, right? So this should be easy. So what we'll just do is we'll just get the check button. Okay, so I'll say check btn, right? And I'll add an event listener. So add event listener. So let's open a bracket, and we're going to add a click event, so comma, and let's create a function. So I'm just going to create everything inside, and I'm not going to use ES6 arrow function. I'm just going to create a regular function, and this function is just going to say that so the new li item dot append child, and we're just going to open a bracket here and say complete, and then we're going to close this. Okay, so that's it. It's as simple as that. So let's add a okay, so apparently there's something wrong with my code here. Let me just there's a dot here instead of a comma, so let me just change that. And okay, so I have the error gone. So basically, let me explain what I did here. So I said that I added an event listener to this check button. So this is the check button, and this is the delete button, yeah, and it's a click event basically that is this function. So basically I am appending this complete variable to the list item. So let me just scroll up and show you the complete variable. So the complete variable is this guy here, okay, that is just basically documents.create content, which is this paragraph, and we then came here and added a text as completed, right? So that's basically what we did. So I think if I save this and I click on, so let me first add an item here. So I'll say hello, and if I click on this check button here, you see that we have this text completed. So that's basically what the code does here. All right, so the last thing we need to do is we need to set something for this delete button, because if I click on the delete button, nothing happens. So I'll come here and of course, let's start by adding a comment, and let's just say delete the list, delete the to-do list item, right? So that's how I like to write my code. So it's actually going to be very similar to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the delete btn, right? And we're just going to do dot add event listener, and it's going to be a click event also. So I'm going to say click. I'll come out here, add a comma, and I'll create another function for this. Okay, so let's just do a regular function. It's not going to be any ES6 thing. So within this here, I'm going to first create a new variable. So I'll say, because I want to have like an interaction. Okay, so I'll say const, and it's going to be delete, and it's going to be equals to confirm. So I want the user to confirm that they want to delete the item. And of course, let's add a confirmation message, and it's going to be you are about to delete this list item, or this to-do list item. Okay, so that's basically the confirmation. Okay, so I'll then say if delete, sorry, so let me close this. All right, so what I'll say is I'll then say if delete, right, is equals to true. Let's come in here and let's see what we want to happen. So I'll say const, and I'll say parent is equals to this dot parent node, right? I'll close this, and I'll then remove the parent. So basically what I'm doing is that I'm removing the li, the total list item, when this button is clicked and the user agrees. Okay, and the user like confirms, okay, because the first there's a confirmation box. So I've created a parent node, and I said this dot parent node, and then I'll then say parent, right, dot remove, and let's add our function tag there, and I'll save. Okay, so let's go ahead and test what we've just done. So first off, let's add a list item. So I'll say hello world, right, and I'll add it. So let's see if it works. So first I'll click this, and you see that our completed works. And if I click this, you see that it says you are about to delete this to-do list item. And if I click on OK, boom, the to-do list item is gone. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the hard-coded HTML for this guy here. So I'll scroll up and I'll just comment that code out. So let me just look for it. So it's just going to be this list item that will comment out. So let me just, highlight everything, and I'll just comment it out and save. So we should have an empty list. And then if we come here and say hello world and enter, you see we have the first list item. And let's say I want to cook, and you see we have the second list item. Let's add another one, I love you. Okay, so now let's test it one more time. So when we click on it, it says completed, and then when we try to delete it, we get this dialog box that says basically we're about to delete the list item. And then if we click on OK, that list item is gone, and like so. All right, so that's the tutorial. Thank you so much for watching the tutorial. I would have actually created a local storage for this list item, but I didn't want the tutorial to take too long. Okay, it's almost 1 hour. All right, thank you so much, and see you in another video. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, I want to encourage you to subscribe because we create content around web development and other stuffs. All right, see you there.